Why humans never stopped drinking milk. The strange history of humanity's most unusual drink. In nature, milk has one purpose: to nourish the young. From the moment a mammal is born, milk becomes its first food, rich in fat, protein, sugar, and life itself. But only for a while. Eventually, every species stops. The calf leaves its mother. The kitten hunts on its own. The infant grows, and milk disappears from its life forever. That is the rule of nature. Except for one species. Us. Humans are the only animals on Earth that continue drinking milk long after childhood, and not just our own. We drink the milk of cows, goats, sheep, buffalo, and transform it into butter, yogurt, cream, and cheese. But milk was never meant for adults. So how did humanity become the only species that refused to let it go? The answer begins thousands of years ago, when survival changed everything. For most of human history, milk was not part of life. Early humans lived as hunters and gatherers. They followed migrating animals, foraged fruits, roots, seeds, and wild plants. Survival was uncertain, food was seasonal, and every day was shaped by one simple question: what can we eat today? There were no farms, no barns, no dairy herds, no cheese aging in caves, no butter melting over warm bread. Milk existed, but only where nature intended it. Between mother and child. For adults, milk was simply not food. Then humanity made one of the greatest discoveries in history. We learned not just how to hunt animals, but how to keep them. And that changed everything. Around 10,000 years ago, during the Neolithic Revolution, humans began domesticating animals in regions such as the Fertile Crescent. Goats, sheep, and eventually, cattle. At first, these animals were valued for meat, hides, and labor. But then humans discovered something extraordinary. An animal could feed a family without being killed. Milk could be collected again, and again, and again. A renewable food source, rich in calories, packed with fat, loaded with protein, and in times of famine, life-saving. Milk was no longer just nourishment for the young. It became nourishment for civilization. For early farmers, dairy meant security. It meant stability, and perhaps for the first time in human history, food that could keep coming. But there was a problem. Most ancient adults could not digest milk. After childhood, the human body naturally reduces production of lactase, the enzyme needed to break down lactose, milk's natural sugar. Without it, drinking fresh milk could cause pain, bloating, and sickness. In other words, milk was valuable. But for many adults, it came at a cost. Then evolution did something remarkable. In certain human populations, particularly among cattle herding communities in parts of Europe, East Africa, and elsewhere, genetic mutations allowed lactase production to continue into adulthood. For these people, milk became a superfood. Reliable nutrition, hydration, energy, survival. A biological advantage so powerful, it spread through generations. Humanity didn't just choose milk. In some places, milk changed human evolution. But even where fresh milk was difficult to digest, humans found another answer. Cheese. By fermenting milk, separating curds from whey, and aging it, ancient people created food that lasted far longer, and contained far less lactose. It was portable, preservable, dense in calories, and deeply flavorful. Cheese turned fragile milk into stored wealth, trade goods, travel food, luxury. Across cultures, from the Mediterranean to mountain villages and pastoral lands, dairy became identity. Recipes evolved, traditions formed. Entire cuisines were built around milk transformed by time. And suddenly, milk was no longer just a drink. It became culture. Then came industry. Machines replaced hand milking. Pasteurization made milk safer. Refrigeration allowed dairy to travel farther than ever before. Factories turned fresh milk into butter, powdered milk, ice cream, chocolate milk, and countless products lining supermarket shelves today. What began as survival became empire. Today, dairy is a global industry worth hundreds of billions, shaping economies, diets, agriculture, and debate around health, ethics, and sustainability. Yet despite all modern change, the story remains ancient. A bond between humans and milk that began in survival, and never truly ended. Milk was never meant for adults. Nature designed it as a beginning, not a lifelong companion. And yet humanity made a different choice. We farmed it, fermented it, perfected it, built cultures around it, built industries from it, and in doing so, we became the only species on Earth that kept drinking milk long after childhood. Not by instinct, but by history, by innovation, and by survival. This is only the beginning of the story. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Dairy Decoded, the science, the stories, the dairy behind it all.